Center, which is near Rio Grande and Tejon in Colorado Springs. You can see a few cars passing through there. Quite a crowd near downtown tonight. People protesting and police there trying to manage it all, make sure everyone stays safe. We will be cutting in as needed throughout the night. We're going to get you back to regular programming. We are staying on top of this 11 breaking news alert tonight, covering the unrest in Colorado. People are calling for justice in the death of George Floyd. We want to show you the scene in Denver right now. We have a helicopter flying in that area. You can see a fire there. These protests have been happening in the downtown area all day. Our crew on scene tells us that several dumpsters are on fire tonight. We saw similar things happening in the city last night. We know there was a curfew that went into effect about 35 minutes ago at 8 o'clock tonight in Denver. It's hard to tell if anyone's on the streets in this picture. As we zoom out here, you can see a few cars there. People are still out. We've been monitoring these crowds throughout the day. We know these protests started at the state capitol around noon. People were marching around the building. Those protests were mostly peaceful and then turned destructive the closer it got to dark. And you can see it right there, a fire in downtown Denver tonight. We will keep cutting into programming as necessary and stay on top of this 11 breaking news alert.
Okay.
Great. Oh, thank you.
Sorry, Donner.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yep,
okay.
yep.
I'm afraid we're going to run out of necessary
Yeah.
things to say.
So maybe let's just do the first one as a cut-in.
Yeah, I don't know.
The head is shot a block away.
Nicole, are you taking us? Yeah, mic check, mic check. Hello. Right now we're downtown. Hello. What street are we on? Too loud. Down. We're turning it down. What street is this? Cimarron.
You can see there are thousands of people behind me. We were down near the police station and they are pushing us backwards. They are pushing protesters back. We have gotten tear gas twice and now they are coming in on
We interrupt your programming to bring you this 11 breaking news alert. I'm Diane Derby along with my co-anchor Don Ward as we bring you continuous coverage now of the developing situation around the Police Operations Center in downtown Colorado Springs. Protesters gathering there right now. It's getting serious.
It's a mess, Diane, and it has been for hours. They started peacefully this afternoon at Acacia Park as planned. Things were quiet for a while, and then as they moved south to the police headquarters at Rio Grande and Nevada, things apparently got out of hand. Police have used tear gas, a chemical irritant they call it, to try to disperse those crowds. So far, the crowds have not fully dispersed.
It's really a scary situation, Don, because our reporters have been out there for the people who are protesting. We've asked them, the city has asked them to remain peaceful, and we're getting reports that they are possibly throwing rocks at the POC. That is the Police Operations Center right downtown. So we want to go live to one of our reporters who has been out there all day. She started with the peaceful protests in Acacia Park. Olivia DeRocha, what is it like there now?
Hi guys, yeah, so right now we're on Nevada and Cimarron. You can see, I mean, it's tense here. We have police coming in on this side. We have protesters have been moving back because there's been a wall of police actually starting to walk in. I know Megan and myself have been tear gassed twice, actually 3 times, I'm sorry. But it's not deterring the protesters. They are still coming in. We have people trying to find new ways to try and, you know, still stick together as a group. But again, we have police now over here. We saw people throwing rocks at police. We saw people throwing water bottles. And you know, it's a really scary situation down here.
Olivia, I want to talk to you a little bit, if you can still hear me. When you were initially in the line of fire, so to speak, of that tear gas, at that point, you were telling me on the phone that you thought that people had attacked the Police Operations Center. Any confirmation of that?
Yeah, so Megan and I actually got here around 6:30 and everything was extremely peaceful. There were people linking arms, walking towards the police. And then that's when the tear gas started and we've been getting pushed down this way. And that's actually where we are. We're at this huge cross section right here and there are still protesters. No one's really leaving. I think if anything now it's, you know, motivating people to keep protesting. And we're gonna send it back to you guys.
Okay.
All right, let's try to keep that shot up if we can, but please get to a safe spot. And,
it looks like that police are deploying flashbangs at this point, and it's a device that they use that can get people out of the area, or we don't know if someone else is doing that. So, you know, we'll just keep their camera live as they try to get away from that situation.
Yeah, we'll let Olivia go, and Megan Heiler, another reporter who's with her operating the camera. We want to get them to safety, so we'll keep that up if we can, but if we can't, that's okay. So you guys, if you can hear us, just move somewhere safe.
The protests, of course, developing around our country since the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
I think excuse me, Diane, I think Olivia's trying to speak to us again. Let's see if we can hear her. Can we bring up Olivia's audio?
You can hear me now, but you can see there's smoke, obviously. Yep. Everywhere. People are starting to disperse, but then if you can see the mentality, people start to disperse and then start to move back. It doesn't keep people away for too long. We just heard another flashbang. So it's coming from I hear rocks being thrown. So we're right here in front of the gas station. So people are starting to push back.
And there we see the police with their shields.
The police are now over the loudspeaker. They've been doing this.
Olivia, we want you to get to safety, so please move as soon as you need to. We certainly don't want you to be in any of this. You know exactly what that felt like. Tell us what it felt like to feel that tear gas. As you said, it stops people for a moment, but then they come back.
Yeah, well, it was emotional because for some reason everyone came together and tried to help each other out, and you know, it kind of showed that there is a lot of good in this situation and people are trying to band together. But I mean, it hurt, my throat hurts right now, but it feels good to be out here and talking to everyone and trying to you know, see what we can do and help. But Meg and I are okay. That was the 3rd time we have gotten sprayed, but we're doing okay, and we're just, you know, trying to make sure everyone's staying okay over here.
Okay.
All right. Okay. All right. We're not sure what's happening right now. Olivia DeRocha and Megan Heiler, they are moving quickly, and we'll leave this picture up if we can, but we're concerned for their safety and for everyone else. And we want to point out, that might not have been tear gas that last time, Diane. That might have just been some sort of a smoke flash grenade. I don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know, but
I mean, it's obviously a live situation, so we want our reporters to be safe, and we know that this is...
And if you're watching, they know that they can end this signal as soon as they need to for any reason. But what they also have, they're sending us this signal with a very portable item. It's like a backpack. So they can move freely, even as they send back this live signal. We don't want you to think that they're rooted down anywhere that they can't move. They can move freely, and that's what they just did very quickly there, as you saw. Police asking everyone to avoid the downtown area because of what they're calling criminal activity on the part now of the protesters. They have been asked to disperse. In fact, at the bullhorn, they're saying all persons here are in violation of Colorado Revised Statute 18.9.105. In the name of the people and the state of Colorado, you are hereby ordered to immediately and peacefully disperse. That has been on the loudspeakers for probably hours now, and it has not happened yet.
Yeah. Well,
so this is all criminal activity, according to police. These people still being here when they're violating state law, and they've been told to leave.
Well, of course, we've been asking police, in our newsroom, what's next for them. They're in a very busy situation, so getting back to us is not their top priority, but we do have our reporters out there trying to give you the latest perspective, exactly what is going on. If you're joining us just now in downtown Colorado Springs, protesters gathering around 6:30, between 6 and 6:30 this afternoon, where things started to turn violent. Possible attacks on the police operations center, as well as tear gas deployed in that area to try to get the protesters to disperse.
If it is safe to do so, and we do believe it is at this point, we want to keep this live feed going. As soon as it becomes unsafe, our crew knows to just cut bait and go. You see a police officer going by, lights flashing there, not sure what's going on with where he might be going to, but as we've mentioned, they have been asking everyone to get away from the police operations center and to avoid the downtown area. They've been moving their barrier wall slowly to the north to try to move those crowds away. We're not sure what's happening to the south of the police operations center, but this is to the north of Nevada and Rio Grande. This is basically Cimarron and Nevada here right now.
Okay.
We're going to keep monitoring this situation, and we'll keep our eyes on it. We'll bring you anything that happens there. We also have problems tonight, again, for another night in Denver, Diane.
Denver turned violent too tonight. Our 11 News reporter Ashley Franco has been up there all day long. Ashley, we want to take a live report from you now. You had to experience horrible tear gas as well today as a reporter trying to bring us your live reports from Denver.
Do we have Ashley? Well, here's a live look at Denver. This is from our sister station, KCNC in Denver, a live look now from the air at what is going on. You see emergency vehicles there. Earlier on, we were looking at this feed in the newsroom, Diane, and there were some fires in the Denver area as well. I believe we have Ashley Franco now.
Ashley, tell us what's going on there.
Okay, it has been something I could never imagine out here. I mean, we were in Civic Center Park for probably 6 hours straight today, and it was constant tear gas, constant flashbangs, and it is just people running toward the officers and running away. And I want to show you guys something really quick. There is a dumpster on fire right behind me.
You're not neighbors.
And obviously you can see the sheriff's department is out here. We have National Guard out here. And several dumpsters we've seen tonight have been set on fire and pushed down streets toward officers, and it's just continuing. And I want to remind you guys, Denver went on a curfew at 8 o'clock tonight, which means everyone had to go home, and there are still people out here. We're hopefully going to give you a look later on in the show, just down the street where there's a bigger group of people, but we wanted to get this report to you as soon as possible.
Ashley, I'm glad you're okay right now. Can you show us the opposite direction from where we're looking right now so we can see what's on the other side of you?
Yes, so if you'll pin the camera, Robbie, on the other side of me, it's nothing.
Okay.
It's very quiet. Is that hopefully what you guys were talking about? But
yeah.
It's very, very quiet on the other side of Denver, and it is all centered toward 16th Street Mall, the Denver Pavilions, and Civic Center Park.
So Civic Center Park, if you're not familiar with it, is that big, huge park with the city-county building of Denver that gets lit up for Christmas every year. It's right across the street from the state capitol. So basically right downtown, heart of downtown, and then you move up to 16th Street, and that's where you are now.
Right, and we're right next to 16th Street, and obviously you can see behind me that we have several sheriff officers just making sure that the people next to us, don't give us any trouble. They're taking good care of us, but it has been, flashbang after flashbang. They're shooting some sort of powder bullets. I want to show you guys really quick.
What a bunch of shit.
All right,
Right here.
while you're
I don't
doing
know if
that.
you guys can see it.
Shit.
Okay, well,
All right.
obviously we apologize for the language. People are very heated in this situation.
All right, Ashley, we're gonna break away from this for now. And we apologize to our viewers for the fact that some raw language just appeared on our air. This is a live situation. We have no control over what people might or might not yell at that situation, but we do apologize. It was not our intention for language like that to make it out on the air.
Well, there's definitely a number of police officers surrounding where Ashley is, so hopefully she'll remain safe as we take this live video of downtown Denver right now, and you can kind of see some of the streets blocked off there right now, Don.
Right, they were in a tight shot for a while. They pulled out wide. Now they're going, okay, we see police. And again, we don't know precisely which streets in Denver this is, but we know not far from Civic Center Park, not far from the 16th Street Mall, that area, that downtown Denver area. As we saw with the police in their riot gear right behind Ashley, it looked to me for a moment, Diane, like Ashley might be in front of the police, between the police and the protesters, which is not a good spot. So hopefully she's going to be able to relocate to a safe position. And she looked safe. She didn't seem worried, but you never know what can happen with a situation like this. It's volatile and it can change in a flash.
Yeah, well, I definitely wouldn't feel safe next to what we were hearing in the background next to her, so.
And so, but again, plenty of police presence where she is, and plenty of police presence just patrolling the streets now. Ashley made a very good point, Diane, that might have gotten lost in all the confusion today. 8 o'clock tonight, a curfew, a citywide curfew went in place in Denver, clearly being violated now massively an hour and 5 minutes later, and that's why the police are out there. The actions of those protesters being on the streets right now, whether you agree with their mission or not, the actions of them being out there right now are not legal. There's a curfew in place and they are in violation of that. That's what the police are there for, and that's what the protesters are yelling and screaming about right now.
And that's been hard to watch on, because you know what law enforcement, what city officials, what leaders have asked the city to do, and people, of course, violating that. And their passions, they want to be heard. They want their story told. They want justice for George Floyd's death. We do know that the police officer we saw with his knee on George Floyd's neck has been charged. And we're waiting on other pending charges for the other officers in that case. The
announcement has been made that other charges will most likely follow, and more charges against the officer himself. And the George Floyd situation is what's prompting this all over the country. And we've heard mayors and police chiefs, former top lawmen in our own community condemn what happened there and point out to us quite emphatically that what the officers did were wrong. Not only the main officer who was on top of George Floyd, but also the other officers who one man says complicit because they didn't do anything to stop it. And so that's what these protests are about. But we've also heard protest organizers say, and mayors of various cities say, while they sympathize with the cause, they do not agree with the actions. And when these get out of hand, it's counterproductive and it's not accomplishing much of anything.
Well, the curfew is going on in Denver and began just an hour ago tonight. We in our newsroom have also asked the city of Colorado Springs why a curfew was not enacted here, and are waiting on a response about that. So
it could well be that they were hoping it wouldn't
nothing
get
would happen,
because nothing did happen here last night. Denver was out of control last night. Minneapolis was out of control last night. Atlanta was out of control last night. Colorado Springs was calm. We knew yesterday that some people were planning a possible rally or protest at Acacia Park late this afternoon. We knew that was going to happen, and it did. The hope was, I guess, that maybe our city would behave itself. And for now, as we look again at this live picture from Denver, we can tell you that there has been some chaotic scenes in downtown Colorado Springs as well.
Our producer's talking to us.
We're being told that Ashley Franco, who we just saw, is now relocating to a new position because we were a little concerned that she was standing so close to that wall of police, Diane. We knew they were on one side of her, and at least one loud and angry protester was on the other side of her. She was in between, so she is moving. And so we'll get her signal reestablished once we are able to, when she's in a new position.
It's a tough job because she has to weigh her safety and also her duty to bring information to the public and to show exactly what's going on.
Priority number one for every one of our crew members right now is safety, their own and those around them. Telling the story is a high priority, but safety is the top.
It's up to them to make that decision.
And they make their own call. Just so you know, we don't have producers in the building telling them, no, you must do this. They have the absolute authority to move themselves and get to safety anytime they want. No one is being asked or required or forced to be anywhere in this. None of our crews are. We want to make that perfectly clear. So when they get up and leave and move, as we saw them do live just a few minutes ago, that's their call.
A lot of people have wondered too this week, what is the plan from Colorado Springs Police? We've asked them, what are they doing to make sure our city is safe? That's information they're not willing to reveal to the public because that's part of what they do to keep us safe.
And it may still be a work in progress
Yes.
as well. So they may not be willing to reveal much of it, and they may not even be finalized on a lot of what it is. Maybe those decisions will be based on how tonight went, and tonight did not go well. You know, in the hopeful anticipation that maybe tonight would remain peaceful, the disappointing result is, in fact, it did not.
Well, certainly not if our reporters have been hit with tear gas 3 times in their coverage being downtown in Colorado Springs.
Again, this is a live look at what's happening tonight in Denver, where a curfew has been in place for a little over an hour and it's being widely ignored. I say that, you know, most people are staying inside, Diane, but the protesters, the ones who really want to make their point and have their voices heard, are out on the streets again tonight. And the kind of thing that is now in violation of law and becomes counterproductive when you're trying to make a point, no matter how valid that original point may be.
Yes. We have the statement yesterday from Colorado Springs Police that said we fully support our community in their constitutional right to peacefully protest. The Springs Police Department believes in protecting the rights of its citizens to lawfully assemble and address their concerns and believe they should be able to do so in a setting free from criminal behavior and wanton destruction.
And that last sentence is the key to what's happening tonight and
Yes.
why they're considered to be in violation of the law, because criminal activity and wanton destruction, if those rocks were in fact hurled at the windows at the police operations center, then there was destruction there. It's vandalism. It's a crime.
Still
and it
no
should not be happening.
confirmation, but we have heard reports of that, so we're waiting.
Yeah. The scene we're looking at right there in Denver is somewhat more calm, and that's good. So we just wanted to bring you up to date with some of what's happening right now. We have crews in position gathering more information. We'll bring it to you as needed throughout the evening and certainly in full tonight on 11 News at 10.
We're only 50 minutes away. We look forward to seeing you then. We'll have the latest for you on this 11 breaking news alert. I'm Diane Derby along with my co-anchor Don Ward.
We'll return you now to programming. We'll see you then.
I never sweat. We interrupt your programming right now to bring you this 11 breaking news alert, a developing situation in downtown Colorado Springs as protesters continue their outrage over the death of George Floyd. It is turning violent.
It is. It started peacefully today as anticipated, but then as feared, things took a turn for the worse. The march itself moved from Acacia Park in downtown Colorado Springs, a few blocks south on Nevada at Rio Grande, to the police headquarters, and that is where it went from demonstration to clash.
It did, and that is where tear gas started to be deployed. We saw possible smoke bombs going off. We want to go to one of those reporters who has been through that, and they're all afternoon long. 11 News reporter Megan Heiler is joining us live now. Megan, where are you?
Hey Diane, yeah, I'm by the 7-Eleven here on Nevada, right across from the Travel Inn. I'll kind of show you what's going on
Super's
here.
wrong.
Right now there's a lot of kind of chanting going on. Earlier today, Olivia and I actually got tear gassed several times, but we're doing okay. But you can still kind of smell the tear gas, and kind of what's been happening is earlier when it kind of started, there was a group of people that linked arms and they were kind of going towards police, and that's when kind of all the tear gas started coming out, and then people started running. Basically what's been going on is people have been running and then they like kind of run away from the tear gas and then they come back. So yeah, it's kind of a chaotic scene out here. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing right now.
Take us back through how things were earlier when this started as a demonstration and then became something chaotic and dangerous.
I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you, but I think you are wanting basically the difference between the earlier demonstration and this one. When we showed up, it was very peaceful. People were coming in, it was raining, but it was really peaceful. There was lots of signs, there was chanting, there was a lot of discussion even at Acacia Park of people just kind of talking about what's been going on. I know they were talking about how there's going to be another protest tomorrow, still kind of getting some details about that. But it actually was supposed to be dispersing. We were told it was dispersing, and then we caught wind of stuff kind of going on down here, and that's when we came down here. So I'll have you take another look. But yeah, kind of a big difference. But like Olivia mentioned earlier, we've been seeing a lot of people helping each other out. Like when people are getting the tear gas in their eyes, people are kind of banding together, and I've seen people pouring milk. I've seen people walking around with gallons of milk so they can help others if they're like crying, if their face is burning and stuff like that. So it's an intense situation down here in Colorado Springs.
Megan, if you can hear me, was there a specific catalyst that turned it from okay to terrible? Did something happen? Was something said? Or was it just sort of a surge with no real impetus behind it?
Did he ask if something was said?
Yep.
Did some specific thing happen that turned it?
Oh, got it. Sorry, Don. Yeah, that's a good question. We aren't completely sure. Basically, what we saw, like I said, was the people linking arms and heading down there. That was kind of, I think, maybe because it was a group of people approaching police, but I'm not really sure what was the catalyst or what kind of made it turn from what it was at the park and here.
Okay, Megan, because when I had talked to you earlier, you and Olivia are reporting together and manning the camera at different times. You were very concerned because you told me initially that there were rocks thrown at the Police Operations Center, their main headquarters in downtown Colorado Springs.
That's why they're moving us down.
Yeah, Diane, that's kind of why they've been moving us down. We heard that there was a police car that was smashed, but we haven't seen that. Sorry, I just caught a little bit of tear gas. But yeah, we did see some protesters throwing
Go
rocks,
ahead and move, hon.
when kind of cop cars were driving by. So, let's kind of move down a little bit. We're getting a little bit of tear gas right here, so we're going to move down.
All right, let's wrap this up. Megan Heiler, go ahead. Go ahead and move back. We'll talk to you later. Thank you so much for the updates. We will get back to Megan Heiler. That is Megan Heiler reporting live now from the scene of where this peaceful protest turned anything but, Diane.
And very much so. The same thing today in Denver. 11 News reporter Ashley Franco has been there all day long, also feeling the effects of tear gas herself today. Ashley, we want to go to you live right now. When we came to you earlier, we lost her.
We've got another live reporter in downtown Colorado Springs. It's 11 News reporter Catherine Silver. We can go to her live right now for her take. I believe she's a little bit maybe to the west of the Police Operations Center, I believe. Catherine, if you can hear us, Can you tell us where you are and what you're seeing? You're right near it, if that's your live picture. Catherine? All right, we don't have 11 News reporter. 11 News reporter Ashley Franco in Denver. Let's try that. Here we go. Oh, no, there's Catherine Silver. All right.
This is just the joy of live TV and trying to coordinate.
Sorry, we actually...
Go ahead.
Dawn, if you just heard me, sorry, we were actually moving back. You heard Megan just start coughing from that tear gas. We had the same thing happen. Right now, we're on the west side of the Police Operations Center. If you look right down this street, it heads right to where Nevada is, where all of that tear gas just went off. So what was happening is you would hear police come over a loudspeaker warning the crowd that they were gathering illegally and needed to move back. About a minute later, we heard what you would assume was a flashbang go off, and then just clouds of smoke filled Nevada, which is when we decided to move back because that tear gas is just floating down the streets here downtown, which you heard Megan just coughing. We were just trying to move back so we could be at a safe spot.
Absolutely what we want you to do and expect you to do at any sign of trouble. So thank you very much for that. We just didn't know where you were. We're glad to see you. We're glad to know that you're okay. Can I ask you one question? In your travels in the downtown area tonight, have you talked to any of the people involved in this protest to ask them why they think it turned into this? Or have you not had a chance?
We've been speaking to a few people. People are just vocal on the streets. You haven't even had to approach them. As they're driving by, they're shouting what they believe, whether they're demanding justice or wishing people would just wrap up and go home. So people are just rolling down their windows and saying different things, shouting things at any crowds walking by.
Well, they certainly are passionate. They want to have their views heard, and this is the way they are choosing to do this tonight. 11 News reporter Catherine Silver, we appreciate your live report. We'll get back to you in just a few moments. Thank you.
And we also want to go now to 11 News reporter, is it Megan Heiler next? Olivia DeRocha, excuse me, 11 News reporter Olivia DeRocha, who we've been talking to on and off all night. Olivia, tell us what's happening now.
Well, so right now we're actually moving down the street. To be honest, I had to take my contacts out because I did get tear gassed a few times. But it looks like, police are moving people down here. Again, I can't see why, but you can literally smell the tear gas in the air. It burns your throat and your nose. So people are starting to move down here. But again, like we were saying earlier, it's not really stopping the crowds. People, are turning down Nevada. They're finding new ways to come back. But you still can see the police lights. It's a huge presence down here still. But, protesters are not giving up. They're staying strong out here.
Well, it's hard to see, too, because you imagine, what it's like to feel that hit you, Olivia. You've taken your contacts out, your throat is hurting. You were on the phone with me earlier in tears. It's difficult.
Yeah, it's hard to see. It's hard to see that this is happening in our city, but it's hard to know this is happening across the nation. It hurts. It's hard down here. It's a heavy feeling. But like I said earlier, when we got tear gas, there were people coming up and offering to pour milk in our eyes and saline, and it's more than the violence. People are bigger than that, and people are really coming together. And I think that's something really special about this town. I wish it wasn't in a violent way, but protesters are really just trying to make a change and let their voice be heard.
And police have told us that they support that. They support the free speech rights. They support the trying to make a point for a cause they believe in. What they do not and cannot support, of course, is when that activity becomes criminal, which happened tonight when they're told that they need to disperse under Colorado law and they fail to do so. It becomes a crime. So it's a fine line, Olivia, and you're caught right there in the middle of it. We appreciate your reporting tonight and your willingness to stick with it. And please give us more updates throughout the evening if you can, and we'll leave you behind for now. We'll come back to you a little bit later. That is Olivia DeRocha, live in Colorado Springs. Thanks so much.
And as we talk for just a moment, Don, before we head out to 11 News reporter Ashley Franco, who is in Denver, one of the interviews that we got just a little while ago, one of the protesters said, I've given aid to so many people for tear gas and everything. I'm just so upset right now because I thought we could rely on our police, and now we're getting terrorized by them. Which I imagine the police would also say, well, we're being terrorized by some protesters, so it's a back and forth all night long.
Two sides to that coin, because the police have stated, the mayor has stated, they appreciate the right and they support the right to make this point, peaceful protest. But when they cross that line, the police in their point of view, it's time for them to retaliate. So then we get this terrible clash, and that's what we did not want to see. No one wanted to see tonight, and here it is.
Ashley Franco was standing just a little while ago in front of one of the dumpsters that was sent down the street on fire in downtown Denver. Ashley, where have you moved to now? Are you in the same spot?
Donna Dine, we were right outside Civic Center Park, which earlier today looked like a completely different scene. I mean, we were hit with tear gas. It almost seemed every few seconds. And even Olivia just said that she took her contacts out, and I have my glasses on. I did that just probably 3 or 4 hours ago, but there was a moment where it was just blinding. I had to grab onto reporter Robbie Reynolds, who is here holding the camera for me, because I just couldn't see. And right now, Civic Center Park, I mean, there are sirens in the background. Obviously, things are still going on, but Denver had that 8 p.m. curfew, so a lot of things have been winding down a little bit, but police are still out here. They're still blocking streets off, and especially Civic Center Park, because that was the hot spot for everything that was happening earlier today. And I just want to say this is a completely different scene than we saw just, 2 hours ago. It has changed immensely.
That is good to hear, Ashley. It means that perhaps that the work the police are putting in is working in dispersing the crowds in Denver, getting them to honor the curfew that was put in place for everyone's safety, for the safety of the protesters and the police and the bystanders and the neighbors who, not too far, a few blocks away from Civic Center Park and the state capitol. It's a residential area. People's lives are lived there. Their homes are there. So hopefully this is the calm after the storm in Denver, and maybe things will be quiet for the rest of the night.
We can hope for that.
Yeah,
we have seen how it's changed so quickly, moment to moment, hour to hour in our city here and also across the nation.
Ashley Franco, we're going to let you go and gather some more information. We will come back to you soon. Please let us know as soon as you need us to break in and come to you again.
We want to go live now to our sister station in Lexington, Kentucky, where protests are underway. If we can take our live video of that in just a moment from our producers. Okay.
It's happening everywhere, and this is another example. Lexington, Kentucky, down a couple of hours south of the border with Ohio. Very nice town, very nice city, but tonight it's having troubles like so many others are.
We are showing you what their live coverage is on air right now, so they're kind of in flux as we are here at 11 News.
We have other places around the country where there are problems tonight, and we've shown you Denver. We had the aerial pictures from Denver before. I don't know if that feed is still available. It might be a good way to get a look at whether things have calmed down.
Well, it's night 2 of that of the curfew being in place too, Dawn. So.
It's the second night,
yeah,
right.
Second night of the.
Okay, there's some aerial video from Denver right now, and a live feed. We know that the Civic Center Park area has quieted down and calmed down. That's the big, huge area right across the street from the state capitol. This is on the perimeter of that region somewhere, we're guessing, and police have been slowly moving outward from that central point to try to get people to disperse and leave the area.
Look, no one wants to see destruction of property. This is the choices some of those protesters are making here and in Denver and everywhere. Don.
Well, look at these just last night in Minneapolis and in Atlanta. It's just been terrible. We have another live feed coming into us now from Charleston, South Carolina. I believe we can go to that now in just a moment. Do we have it?
We're trying.
Okay, there
it is.
All right, so let's just watch this for a second. This is from our sister station in Charleston, South Carolina. Big crowds there, bigger than the crowds we've seen still remaining in Denver.
And in downtown Colorado Springs, although our crews were far enough away from some of them to not be able to see up close.
All of this anger, of course, is in response to the George Floyd case in Minneapolis. On Monday, George Floyd died after a confrontation with police. Derek Chauvin, a veteran officer, was fired along with 3 others, and then consequently was charged with murder and with manslaughter. And that eased the anger for some protesters, but now they want charges against the other officers involved.
Can I ask my producers to take their audio live, please, so we can listen on their reporter?
You see the fire department is now pulled in front of that building that was over there. We were showing you earlier a building that protesters had broken into. Apparently a fire had been lit and they're putting it out now, is from what I've been told. We'll work to confirm that. But as you can see, also, let's show this, James. This is 8th Street. There's also a vast majority of protesters down here. Not really sure what's happening in this direction. I know that this seems to be the ongoing agitation area, the confrontation area, rather, between police, Secret Service, and on the other side you have DC Metro Police. If I seem distracted, it's because I'm trying to keep my wits about me, keep my head on a swivel and see what's happening all around. You can see that the majority of the folks went down there on H Street, and there's still a contingent up here out in front of Lafayette Park. I talked to a couple of different protesters, and one had told me he was here till 3 last night. They plan on being here till 3 again out in front of Lafayette Park. Another one told me that the police were shooting flashbangs at them, so another set of protesters lit a car on fire down on I Street. So we've just been trying to gather as much information from the areas, because you have to move safely within this environment. Like I said before, over here, you can see it's just kind of, now it's calmed down. You see tensions rising every 10 to 15 minutes, coming back down. Sometimes an explosion will go off and then back down.
Tom, you still got me?
All right, here comes a fire.
As long as I got batteries.
All right, that's just a brief look at what's happening in one of the many cities seeing protests tonight. That is Charleston, South Carolina. We just wanted to give you a glimpse of a lot of these different places where this is happening, Diane.
It's endless. It's going on all night. It's about midnight there right now in Charleston, South Carolina. That beautiful downtown now overtaken by protesters, and you could hear that reporter talking about how they would come in sort of in waves of uprising and the violence that's going on there tonight with fires.
It's what we've seen in Colorado Springs to a lesser extent. We have not had any fires here tonight.
Thank
We don't have
goodness.
any reports of any injuries, but our reporters have told us the crowd would make its way toward the police operations center. The police would make their way toward them. The tear gas would be deployed. They'd move back. They'd move forward. Slowly, the police are trying to gain some ground and try to get everyone away from their operations center, which has just been picked as the epicenter of this protest for tonight.
And we heard this could be possible. We hoped it wasn't going to happen as the week went on, and now we're watching it happen live here in downtown Colorado Springs. We want to show you a live picture from Los Angeles tonight from our sister station there. Also, people getting arrested are, I guess they're being lined up along the street there, is what my producer is telling me right now.
And so these are people being detained, possibly for, if you're told to disperse by police in an emergency situation and you don't do it, you become in violation of the law. And so that is what's happening here. We see dozens of people, it looks like, being detained. We don't know if they're being arrested. They're being detained at this point. And this is a scene that's playing out to greater and lesser extent in cities all across this great nation tonight as people exercise their right to make a point about their anger over the George Floyd case, but then things go too far, they violate the law, and this is the end result. So far, it looks like things have calmed down in Los Angeles. We don't see any evidence of any violence happening right now, and we don't see any evidence of any fires, although there may have been some earlier. So it's, it's just it's a tough situation, Diane, because even law enforcement leaders and elected officials will tell you they understand the anger over what happened to George Floyd in Minneapolis. They cannot tolerate what happens next when things go from protest to chaos. And
everyone has a right to be out there. Everyone has a right to protest. When they don't have that right is when the curfews are in effect and when law enforcement is trying to enforce that, and it's continuing. But this is the choice that they're making tonight, and they feel strongly.
And that's that's. Oh, let's listen to this reporter. Maybe we can get some more information there. Well, he's apparently not doing a live report now. They're taking his live feed, but he's not on right now. And he probably doesn't know that he's on camera on our air right now. But you can see a bus there from the LA County Sheriff's Department. So they've made all these arrests, or they've detained all these people, and they're going to bust them away soon. We want to get back now to 11 News reporter Catherine Silver, who's monitoring this situation in downtown Colorado Springs from a different perspective of our other crews. I think she's on the other side, the west side of the Police Operations Center at Nevada and Rio Grande. So Catherine Silver, if you can hear us, are things calming down a little bit there?
Don, things have really quieted down here. It's been about, I would say, 20 minutes since we saw that huge cloud of tear gas go off, and you can still kind of feel it in the air. You can smell it in the air. If you look straight down this street, this is straight down Rio Grande towards the Police Operations Center. It's that building that's lit up in the distance. You can see some police lights in the distance. We moved pretty far back. We're about a block away when that tear gas came off, so it's difficult for us to tell exactly what action is happening right out front of that Police Operations Center, but we are monitoring things here. We've seen a lot of people start to move back, at least where we are on the streets, and we'll see how this progresses through the night.
Catherine Silva reporting live for us in downtown Colorado Springs, where it's a bit of a relief to see that things have calmed down considerably.
Okay, we're also getting some reports into the newsroom right now from sources that are talking to us. It looks like some windows at the courthouse as well as the Pioneers Museum have broken. And police are on the scene at both of those locations trying to make sure that they keep people safe and that they can arrest anyone who's, of course, committing any crime or any sort of violence. But reports tonight that the courthouse in downtown Colorado Springs, as well as the Pioneers Museum, have had windows broken by protesters.
And we had heard anecdotal reports of that. We'd heard witness accounts of that. We had not had anything confirmed formally by police, but again, sources are telling us that that is the case. And that's what we suspected all along, and our own crews thought that that's what they had heard going on. So windows broken at the Police Operations Center and at the courthouse.
Possibly
Again,
the Pioneers Museum
possibly
as well.
the Pioneers Museum, which has nothing to do with anything. But there you go. So again, these things have gotten out of hand. Police are doing what they can still to disperse those crowds in downtown Colorado Springs. And the situation in Denver, we're just getting word now from some of our sources that Denver police have arrested a man for carrying a gun illegally. And they say they continue to find weapons on various people when they stop them and or arrest them or detain them for the situation that is happening in Denver.
Okay, sorry, we're all communicating in so many different ways with our producers and different sources through our phones and in our ears as this situation develops. We hate to see this erupting in our own city now, Don, and that's why we're here tonight trying to bring this continuous coverage.
It's discouraging. We were hoping it wouldn't happen, but it has. 11 News reporter Megan Heiler is one of our crew members who is downtown right now in Colorado Springs near the Police Operations Center. Let's get back to Megan for an update from her point of view. Megan?
Yeah, Don and Diane, I'm currently by Nevada and Merino, and if you take a look behind me, you can see it's pretty much cleared out. I was told by some witnesses earlier that there was some tear gas that was just thrown, and if you take a look, I don't know, Vernon, if you can kind of zoom in to the police officers over there, they formed another wall, so that probably has something to do with kind of all the protesters kind of making their way out of here. But as I said earlier, you can still just smell and like feel the tear gas that is still in the air. So it's been a crazy night, but right now it's looking calm. I don't want to jinx anything, but it has looked like it's calmed down a little bit.
Well, let's hope that remains to be the case, Megan, because it's been pretty bad there for a few hours now. And we know you found yourself in the middle of the melee a few times, and it's been physically painful for you and Olivia DeRocha to be in the tear gas path, and as it has for the protesters. But again, when they cross that line and move into criminal territory, breaking the law in violation of being told to disperse, and that's what has to be done sometimes. So we're glad you're okay. We're going to ask you to stick with us out there, and we're going to come back to you. 11 News at 10 is just a few minutes away. We're going to stick with this, I believe, and just go straight into the top of the hour and into the newscast. So we'll be getting back with Megan and our other reporters throughout the evening as we go on now into 11 News at 10. But to recap, if you're just joining us in anticipation of the newscast coming on, there are problems, again, tonight in cities across the nation and a couple of major cities in Colorado, including in Denver, where a curfew was in place and was violated by many protesters. There are problems in Colorado Springs, where a peaceful rally at Acacia Park started at 4 o'clock and went fine for a while, and then took a turn for the worse.
It took a turn for the worse right outside of the Police Operations Center in downtown Colorado Springs right about 6 o'clock tonight when they began to deploy tear gas. Our reporters on scene hit by it, many of the people in that area hit by it, and yes, it did work to disperse the crowd and to get them away, but they have all come back. They're still going strong. The reporters, as they just mentioned a few moments ago, things seem to be calming down there, but I'm getting reports from sources that are very close to the investigations on the scene police and sheriff's office sources that I have that the Pioneers Museum, also the courthouse, may have some broken windows at it. So we're trying to get our crews out there to see what's going on.
If you're just joining us at the top of the hour, we're in continuous coverage now of this 11 breaking news alert. A protest tonight in Colorado Springs that got out of hand and became a clash between police and protesters involving tear gas. We don't have any reports of any injuries, anything serious. We don't have any reports of any arrests, although there may have been some, certainly maybe some people detained. But we're just trying to find out exactly what's going on as far as moving into the rest of the night, because our crews near the Police Operations Center have told us that things are beginning to calm down. That's no guarantee that everything's over.
We hope, Don. It changes by the moment here. We've watched it change by the moment all across the country, and we want it to be peaceful and we want our city to be safe. But it looks like violence is breaking out tonight. It has been going on now for almost 4 hours now, and we'll begin our coverage again of 11 News at 10 starting in just a minute or so.
Okay. And we also want to just check in one more time now with 11 News reporter Ashley Franco, who's live for us in Denver, where things have been terrible for a while and may be getting better. Ashley, what can you tell us?
We just actually moved places, but I don't know if you can see behind me, there's a fire truck leaving. There are about 3 dumpsters that had just caught fire, and the fire department just put them out, but there was a pretty large group of people here. You can see, obviously, we have a ton of law enforcement agencies just keeping everyone safe, but that just seems to be the fact around Denver tonight, is very small little pop-ups in different sections of the city, even though they're on curfew and people should be at home under the mayor's order. Guys.
Okay, Ashley, that's an awful thing to see there. I'm glad you're at a safe distance from it. Glad firefighters are on scene getting it out.